One day, there was a programmer named Akira who had been working on a game called Infinity for 15 years. Today was the day the game was shutting down. He sat at his computer, reading people's comments about the game's main character. He was emotional, and so were the players, especially about the villain, whom they called the King of Beasts. His real name was Konai. As soon as the clock struck midnight, Akira shut down the game and his computer. But then, something strange happened. A bright white light filled the entire room, and suddenly, Akira was pulled into a vortex leading to another world. When he woke up, he found himself in a vast forest. His voice had changed, and he was wearing unusual clothes, as if he were a mafia boss. He got up from the ground to figure out what was happening. When he looked at his reflection in the water, he saw that he was in the body of Konai, the King of Beasts from Infinity. He started shouting in his strange new voice, wondering what he was doing there. He was extremely nervous but tried to calm himself down, telling himself not to panic since he was the game's creator. He called out to the system, and a screen appeared in front of him. He entered his account password to try and modify the game's code, but the system denied his access, telling him it was forbidden. Realizing that wouldn't work, he closed the system and tried to think of a solution. Suddenly, a small girl appeared. The moment Konai saw her, he asked who she was and what she was doing there. He couldn't remember ever creating this character. He also asked if she could understand what he was saying. The girl responded by telling him to run away immediately. He asked her why, but before she could answer, the answer revealed itself. A giant winged monster appeared before him. Konai remained calm and casually asked the girl if this monster was her pet because, if it was, she needed to take better care of it. She quickly told him to run because the creature was not a pet at all. At that moment, the monster spoke, calling Konai a weak human and declaring that it would feast on his body and drink his blood. That's when Konai finally realized the seriousness of the situation. Fear overtook him, but then the instincts of his game character kicked in, allowing him to use his new abilities. The moment he clenched his fist, a powerful force erupted from his body, sending the monster flying in an instant. Konai then thought to himself that he knew everything about the game, yet he had no memory of creating either this monster or the girl. Meanwhile, the girl was terrified and backed away before stumbling and falling. She pleaded with Konai, "Please don't eat me, King of Beasts. I don't even taste good." Konai got annoyed and snapped, asking her who she thought he was. But then, he had a moment of realization and wondered how this girl could even understand Japanese. He took a deep breath to calm himself. He told her not to worry because he wasn't hungry enough to eat anyone. Then, he asked why she kept calling him the King of Beasts. She explained that since he had defeated the monster Greyrat with no effort, there were only two possibilities: either he was an angel, or he was the real King of Beasts. He told her his name was Konai and that he had nothing to do with the King of Beasts she was talking about. Then he added, "By the way, we haven't even introduced ourselves. What's your name?" She told him her name was Ako. He found her name amusing and laughed to himself but tried not to show it so he wouldn't ruin his intimidating image. He complimented her name and then casually asked if she had ever heard of a place called Japan. She told him she had no idea what he was talking about. She then explained where they were, saying this was the Kingdom of Light, a place full of glowing trees and birds, where life felt beautiful. She also described the kingdom's governing system. Konai thought to himself that everything seemed exactly like a fairy tale. Overwhelmed, he started questioning why he had been pulled into the game inside the body of this old man called Konai. He wondered if the game had been summoning the character Konai at the exact moment he was shutting it down, which caused him to get dragged into it. After thinking for a long time, he turned to Ako, who looked exhausted and messy, as if she had just come out of a fight. He told her to clean herself up in the lake while he waited. She was overjoyed because it was her first time getting into the water, but she also started wondering about the man who was helping her. When she turned to look at him, she saw a screen in front of him as he typed something. She assumed he was helping her clean up so he could eat her later. Then, when she saw him reach into a portal and pull out some things, she thought he was gathering tools to cook her. But her suspicions were completely wrong. Konai was only getting her soap and clean clothes. While Ako was busy washing up, Konai checked his status in the game to understand more about his situation. He found that his points were extremely low and kept decreasing. He realized he needed to earn points quickly if he wanted to buy and create anything he needed. After that, Ako finished and thanked him for what he had done, calling him the King of Beasts. He told her for the second time that he was not the King of Beasts and asked her not to call him that again. Then, he asked if the Greyrat monster appeared in this area often. Ako told him, of course not. If the Greyrat appears here in the kingdom, there's a chance it could be destroyed. Konai was surprised and asked if the monster was really that dangerous. She confirmed that it was, so he asked if she knew its lair or where it lived so he could get rid of it. He wanted to earn points from defeating the monster. Ako told him she had heard that the monster was probably in a place called the Shrine of Wishes. He asked her to guide him there, but then he noticed that Ako's legs were injured, and she was limping as she walked. He told her he would carry her on his back so they could move faster. She was completely shocked and told him that he shouldn't touch someone as filthy as her. She started crying, explaining that she had always been a huge burden to her village because she was responsible for collecting trash, cleaning the water, and keeping the roads clear. The villagers disliked her because she was always covered in dirt. Konai told her that her job was actually very important and not something bad. She replied that the people of her village hated her for it, which was why they had sent her as a sacrifice to the greyrat. He didn't let her finish speaking, he simply picked her up and carried her on his back, walking forward. He told her everything would be fine and not to worry. She was deeply moved by his words and thanked him. After that, he pulled out a piece of paper and wrote down some things. Then, he asked Ako if she could read it. She read everything aloud, both the letters and the numbers. Then, she told him about the Shrine of Wishes, explaining that there was a legend that said anyone who visited the shrine would have their wishes granted. Eventually, they reached the shrine, and as soon as Konai entered, he smelled something strange. He told Ako to wait outside because the place seemed dangerous. The moment he stepped inside, he found dead bodies scattered everywhere. Suddenly, a bright light appeared, and in front of him stood a massive talking statue in the shape of a queen. Her name was Idol. She welcomed him, calling him the king of beasts, and told him she had granted many wishes, but his wish would be the last. He asked her if she was the one who had brought him into this world. She told him that people had summoned him into their world, but it wasn't her. He then asked how the greyrat monster had arrived and who had created it. Idol explained that the greyrat had come on its own after breaking the seal. She told him that the monster lived in the surrounding forests, demanding sacrifices from people. She also revealed that the dead bodies behind her were those who had tried to summon the king of beasts, but the greyrat had appeared instead and killed them all. Konai's head started aching from all this confusing information, so he asked if she could just send him back to his real world. She told him that fulfilling his request would go against the rules, but since he was the shrine's final visitor, she would give him a gift. Suddenly, a skull-shaped ring formed around his hand, and he couldn't remove it. Then, Idol began to disappear piece by piece, telling Konai that she had once been beautiful, but people's dark desires and wishes had turned her into what she had become. After she vanished, Konai left the shrine and asked Ako if there was any nearby city or kingdom he could travel to. She told him that the closest place was the capital of the Kingdom of Light. He asked her to describe the way there, but then she asked if she could go with him. She didn't want to return to her village after they had tried to sacrifice her to the greyrat. Konai thought to himself that it wasn't a bad idea since she knew more about this world than he did, and she could be useful. He agreed and told her he would take her with him. Ako was thrilled and, before heading to the Kingdom of Light, asked if they could stop by her village so she could grab a few things. He agreed, and as soon as they arrived at the village, Ako went in. Immediately, some villagers gathered around her. Konai used his invisibility ability and disappeared. Ako started looking around for him but couldn't find him. He used the messaging feature to communicate with her, telling her he was right behind her so she wouldn't be afraid. At that moment, the villagers began mocking Ako and throwing stones at her, demanding to know why she had returned. Konai was furious, and suddenly, the ring on his hand started glowing. It spoke to him, saying he had the ability to eliminate anyone he didn't want around. But Konai refused to do that. Instead, he cancelled the invisibility ability and stood in front of the people harassing Ako, stopping them from what they were doing. However, they only escalated their insults and mockery. That's when Konai unleashed the beast inside him. He burned down their village, grabbed Ako, and ran. At that moment, a girl named Luna was sitting in her carriage, telling her driver to slow down because his driving was terrible. The driver obeyed her orders but nervously asked if she really had to go alone to carry out the mission she had planned. She replied, "Do you think I can't subdue the king of beasts on my own?" He became even more frightened and assured her that he didn't mean to doubt her, he was just worried about her. She told him not to worry because she had to handle this without her siblings. Meanwhile, a soldier ran up to the leader of the spies, named Wingel, and informed him that Princess Luna was on her way with over 20 soldiers. Wingel asked, "Princess Luna herself?" The soldier confirmed it. Wingel then said, we should be happy that the princess is coming to us personally. That means we must greet her face to face. The soldier then told him, the princess isn't coming for us, she's after someone else. And, of course, that someone else was Konai. At that time, Konai was still traveling with Ako toward the Kingdom of Light. However, they were getting exhausted. Ako told Konai that nightfall was approaching, and Konai agreed, saying, "You're right, we need to set up camp here." He set her down and accessed the system, pulling out a box called Survival Tool and another called Defense Tool. Then, he combined them to create a fully equipped campsite. Ako was amazed, thinking he was performing magic. Konai, enjoying the moment, boasted, "Anyone else in our situation would be dead by now unless they knew how to camp like this." Ako admitted she didn't understand anything he was saying but assumed he was right. He explained that it meant he was extremely powerful. Then, he told her that they would be sleeping in the camp tonight since he had an allergy to sleeping under the stars. Excitedly, Ako volunteered to handle the housework. They entered the campsite he had created, and Konai showed her around, explaining how to use everything. Then, he went into a room, lay down on the bed, and stared at the moon through the window. It was strange to him that the moon even existed in the game. He thought to himself that if he could collect enough points to unlock all of the game's privileges, he might be able to return to his real world. He also considered the possibility that some mysterious force had summoned him to this world, meaning he needed to find out what it was in order to return. He hoped to find useful information in the capital, but at the same time, he was worried about going back. He wondered, if I return, will everything still be the same? My boss is probably really mad at me right now. After that, he fell asleep, and the next morning, they continued their journey. Meanwhile, the leader of the spies and his men were stationed at a high vantage point. Wingel told his group that they needed to wait for Princess Luna to arrive before attacking. Suddenly, Konai and Ako passed right in front of them. One of the spies asked Wingel, "Who are those two?" Wingel replied, "They might be a trap. If we attack those two and get distracted, Princess Luna will strike when we least expect it." His assistant asked what they should do. Wingel instructed them to launch a quick ambush to lure the princess in faster. However, Konai had already noticed them from the start. He gently set Ako down and created a magical barrier. The moment they fired arrows at him, the arrows rebounded back at them. Konai mocked them, saying how weak they were, stating that their levels were below 30. Then, he shouted at them to come out and face him directly. Wingel himself stepped forward, introducing himself as the King of Spies. Konai was surprised and, for some reason, spoke to him as if he were his workplace manager. "What are you doing here?" "Sorry I couldn't make it to work," he said, calling him Sinmo. Wingel was completely confused and told him that he had no idea who Sinmo was. Konai was shocked because the resemblance between Wingel and his boss was uncanny. Wingel told him, "Don't underestimate me, old man, or you'll regret it." Konai lost his mind the moment he heard the words old man. He snapped back, "You're the old man, not me." Suddenly, the entire battle shifted, turning into a verbal argument where the winner would be whoever could prove the other was older. Ko was terrified and begged the King of Beasts to get out of there quickly. The moment Wingel's men heard the words King of Beasts, they burst into laughter and tried to attack Konai. However, with a mere flick of his finger, he sent them flying. Wingel was horrified by his power and admitted, "I knew it. You really are a sorcerer." Just then, Luna appeared from behind them and said, "What's the problem with magic?" She used a spell, knocking everyone to the ground. She then smirked and said, "Who would have thought I'd run into the King of Beasts, spies, and a bunch of thieves all at once?" Wingel told his men, "The plan is ruined. We need to get out of here fast." Luna scoffed, calling them idiots. Then, she cast another spell, sending out sparks from her hands that hit them one by one. Konai quickly tried to create a barrier to protect himself and Ako, but for some reason, the barrier didn't work. He realized, this girl is seriously powerful. Her level must be insanely high if my barrier couldn't block her attacks. He then told her, "I didn't expect this from you at all. I think I deserve an apology for being attacked for no reason." Luna responded, "I was only fighting against evil." Konai smirked and said, "Those will be your last words." Luna crossed her arms and said, "Looks like you have no idea who I really am." Konai mocked her, replying, "By the way, your name really doesn't suit your personality." Luna was furious and immediately ordered her men to attack him. Konai told them, "You guys don't stand a chance against me." Even Luna herself became frightened when she saw just how strong he was. After he finished dealing with all her guards, it was finally her turn. He taught her a lesson and then left with Ako. As they walked, Ako asked if Luna would be okay after all the damage she had taken. Konai replied that Luna was strong, so she would probably survive. Then, he showed Ako the bag of money he had taken from Luna, saying it would be extremely useful when they reached the city. Meanwhile, Luna climbed back into her carriage with the last bits of her dignity intact, swearing that the next time she saw Konai, she would give him the beating of a lifetime. Konai arrived in the city with Ako and told her that they would buy some things with the money they had. Ako reminded him that the money belonged to Luna, but he told her it was rightfully his since he had gone easy on Luna and hadn't finished her off. The first thing he did was satisfy his hunger. He bought some food for both himself and Ako, and they sat down to eat until they were full. Afterward, they went looking for a hotel to stay in and found one called Jiggly. Konai immediately mocked the name, thinking this game had a serious naming problem since every name was weirder than the last. They entered the hotel and approached the receptionist. Konai told the man that he wanted the best room available. After all, he wasn't spending his own money. The receptionist informed him that the room would cost 1 gold coin. Ako gasped, saying that was way too expensive, and once again, she called him King of Beasts. The moment the receptionist heard those words, he was terrified. Konai quickly tried to smooth things over, telling him that Ako had made a mistake. The man immediately ran off, saying he would prepare their room right away. Konai then told Ako not to call him King of Beasts again and to come up with something else instead. Ako thought for a moment and asked, "How about I call you Papa?" Konai snapped at her, yelling that he was way too young for that. They couldn't settle on what she should call him. Shortly after, their room was ready. When the receptionist opened the door, they were both amazed, especially Ako, who had never seen anything like it before. She was overjoyed. Konai told her that one day, he would build them a castle 100 times better than this one. Ako was incredibly excited by his words. Konai then told her that they would go out for dinner and explore the city a little. But first, they needed to buy her some new clothes. They headed to a clothing shop, where the woman working there asked how she could assist Konai. Without a word, Konai pulled out a gold coin and placed it in front of her. The woman's eyes nearly popped out of her head when she saw the money. She immediately told him, "Your wish is my command." Konai told her that he needed proper clothes for Ako. The woman took Ako away and treated her like royalty, as if she were the shop's owner instead of a customer. A little while later, Ako emerged wearing a stunning dress that made her look exactly like a princess. The shopkeeper then asked if Konai needed any other clothes. Konai told her that anything that suited Ako, they would take. After shopping, they went to a high-end restaurant for dinner. All eyes in the restaurant were on Konai. Everyone had already noticed that he had a lot of money, and they were all eager to figure out who he was. Some even assumed that the girl with him was his daughter. As they ate, Ako thanked him for everything he had done for her. Then, she asked him why he was being so kind to her. Konai didn't have an answer. He himself didn't know why he was treating her this way. Ako told him that she was willing to do anything he asked, as long as he told her why he was helping her. At that moment, Luna stormed into the restaurant, furious. She marched straight over to Konai and started yelling at him in front of everyone. Konai told her to calm down and not humiliate both herself and him in public, or else he would hit her again like he did earlier. Luna sat down quietly, trying to control herself, while Konai generously invited everyone in the restaurant to eat as an apology for the commotion Luna had caused. After finishing their meal, he and Ako returned to the hotel. A little while later, Luna barged into their room, still fuming. She angrily told Konai that because of him, she had no money left and didn't know what to do. Konai asked her about the men who had been with her. She said she had sent them back to their homes to keep them out of danger. At that point, Ako stepped in and asked Konai to be kind to Luna. Reluctantly, Konai returned the money to Luna just to get her to leave. However, Luna then pointed out that the room they were staying in had been paid for with her money, so she would be staying with them tonight, whether they liked it or not. Luna acted as if the place were her own home. She quickly got attached to Ako and grew fond of her. Meanwhile, Konai sat down, opened his inventory, took out the crown he had bought for Ako, and stored it away. He thought to himself that in Infinity, no player was allowed to store or carry more than 10 items. But, of course, he wasn't just any player, he was allowed an unlimited number of items. At the same time, a group was rushing through the streets in a carriage, led by a woman named Killer Queen. Just by her name, it was obvious she was insane. Sitting beside her was her assistant, Fuji. Fuji informed her, "We're almost at the city." Killer Queen grinned. "Good, then we can put a rope around Luna's neck and drag her back home." Fuji hesitated. Wasn't capturing the King of Beasts a good attempt on Luna's part? "Honestly, we were all impressed by your little sister's bravery." Killer Queen scoffed. "You're all idiots. Luna is just showing off. The King of Beasts has existed from the start. He never returned, because he was never gone." But at the same time, she was suspicious, wondering who had managed to defeat the greyrat monster. She was also extremely annoyed that Luna had kept this information from her. Meanwhile, Konai was sitting with Luna, asking her about two people named Oven and Seraph, figures known for guiding those in need of help. He asked where he could find them. Luna told him, "I don't know. It's been ages since anyone last saw them. They're basically legends. But some say that the stone statue at the Shrine of Wishes actually belongs to Oven." The next day, Konai went out, thinking about Luna's words, but he refused to believe that Oven was the stone statue. He had interacted with it, and it just didn't feel right. As he walked, he thought about how, in this world, he couldn't do anything without money and enough points. He entered a shop, holding a teacup that he had brought with him from his original world. He sold it to the shop owner, making up an elaborate story about its origins. He completely fooled the shopkeeper, who gave him 5 full gold coins in exchange. The man had been thoroughly scammed. Konai took the money, feeling proud of himself and his persuasion skills. At that moment, Killer Queen and her large army of soldiers arrived. She immediately shouted for Luna, demanding that she come out and face her. Luna, panicked, ran toward her sister, greeting her as if nothing had happened. She nervously asked, "What are you doing here?" Killer Queen snapped at her. "How dare you run off without telling me? And on top of that, I heard you went after the King of Beasts on your own." Luna tried to ease the situation, making it seem like she hadn't done anything wrong. She explained to her sister, "The King of Beasts is real. I even used my magic to fight him." At that moment, another group appeared, dressed entirely in black. They immediately launched an attack on Killer Queen's forces. The moment Konai saw them, they looked oddly familiar. He quickly realized that they were the same group wearing the same clothes as the corpses he had seen at the Shrine of Wishes. Killer Queen and Luna immediately joined forces, charging into battle with excitement. Killer Queen told her sister, "I'll finish scolding you later, but first, let's wipe these guys out." One of the enemies in black suddenly opened a box, unleashing a thick black liquid that spread everywhere. The substance consumed many soldiers, freezing them in place. When it reached Luna and Killer Queen, it completely immobilized them. They couldn't move at all. The enemy group fired a barrage of arrows at them. Luna's soldiers jumped in to shield them, preventing them from getting hit. The black substance inched closer toward Konai. At that moment, the ring started speaking to him again, trying to convince him to accept its power so he could eliminate Luna and Killer Queen. Konai struggled to resist, refusing to give in. At the last second, before the dark substance could reach him, he opened the system. The only available option was change character. He selected it. Instantly, all the darkness in the area disappeared. Konai's entire appearance shifted, his hair became smooth, and his features looked much younger. His fighting abilities drastically improved. He took down the enemy group effortlessly, eliminating them all in record time. Killer Queen stood there, staring at him in awe, completely mesmerized by his power and appearance. She couldn't stop staring, unable to act naturally in his presence. After finishing the battle, Konai approached her to check if she was alright. She grew extremely flustered and embarrassed. The wild personality that had been scolding her sister just moments ago had completely vanished. After confirming she was fine, Konai walked away to a secluded spot. There, he reverted to his original form. But he was deeply unsettled. He had no idea why he had acted so kindly or behaved the way he did. Even when Ako approached him, talking about the boy who had defeated the enemy group, he became extremely embarrassed. Meanwhile, 2 girls named Yuki and Mikan were hunting monsters in exchange for money. While they were at a restaurant, they happened to find a wanted poster featuring the King of Beasts. The reward for capturing him was a huge sum. They took the poster and immediately accepted the mission. As for Konai, he placed Luna and Ako in a carriage and left the area. While they traveled, he asked Luna, "How are you going to bring back all your soldiers? What are you going to do now that you're on your own?" She admitted, "I don't know. But the one thing I do know is that you will be the one protecting me." Konai scoffed. "I don't work for you. I'm not your bodyguard." The two of them immediately started arguing. But in the end, Konai had no choice but to protect her, at least until he figured out what to do with her. The first thing Konai did was give Luna new clothes. He told her that what she was wearing was too revealing and made it obvious to everyone that she was a princess. As usual, she argued with him, but once he handed her the clothes, she immediately liked them, so did Ako. Excited, she took them and went to change. Meanwhile, Yuki and Mikan continued searching for the King of Beasts while completing a few other missions along the way. Their main objective was to hunt wild wolves. As they traveled through the desert, Mikan told Yuki that the wolves were supposed to be in this area. She was confused because she couldn't see a single one. Yuki explained that sand wolves were extremely savage creatures, and they needed to be eliminated. If they managed to form a pack, they would become stronger, attack villages, and devour people. Mikan quickly told her to be quiet. She could sense the wolves approaching. And sure enough, through the raging sandstorm, the wolves began to appear. The moment they saw the size of the pack, they immediately panicked. Their overwhelming bravery vanished in an instant, and they took off running. At the same time, Konai's carriage was on the road. He stopped it so Luna could change in peace. While waiting, he started thinking about how to earn points in this game. Back when he used to play it, he simply defeated monsters to gain points. Suddenly, the carriage driver interrupted his thoughts, pointing toward the massive sandstorm ahead. Konai focused and realized that monsters were lurking inside the storm. He was thrilled. This was finally his chance to earn more points, just like he had wanted. But after concentrating a little more, he noticed that the number of wolves was huge. Then, he spotted two girls running straight toward him with the entire pack behind them. That meant the wolves were going to attack both them and his group. From a distance, Yuki and Mikan shouted at Konai, telling him to run away. At first, Konai felt nervous about the monsters. But then, his entire demeanor shifted. He mocked the two girls for being afraid of a bunch of wolves. He activated his magical barrier. The first wolf that lunged at him slammed into the barrier. Then, he used his pounce ability and began taking down the wolves one by one. Next, he activated his sandstorm skill, turning the entire area into chaos. No one could see anything. Finally, he unleashed Thunderstrike, wiping out nearly the entire pack. Only 3 or 4 wolves managed to escape, running away without hesitation. After he finished, he got back into his carriage and left the two girls behind. He refused to take them with him. Ako told him that she had been watching from the window and was amazed by him, as always. Even Luna was impressed by his abilities. She told him, "I want you to protect me with that exact strength." Konai smirked. "Keep dreaming, it's never going to happen." A little while later, he stopped the carriage again and let Ako and Luna out. He built them a temporary base and told them to rest inside because he had something to think about. He also told the driver he could go inside if he wanted, but the driver said he would stay outside and feed his horse. Konai left them and sat alone, opening the system. He was ecstatic. After defeating the wolves, his points had skyrocketed. Now, he had the ability to summon 8 of his personal assistants. But his current point count only allowed him to summon 1. He started thinking about which of the 8 to choose. He told himself that his biggest weakness was defending against magic attacks. So, he needed someone who could counter that. He considered summoning Ko, the genius doctor. She could probably invent something to protect them from magic. The problem was that she was extremely short-tempered, got annoyed easily, and had a habit of eliminating people she didn't like. Still, he found her personality amusing, so he summoned her. Once she arrived, he explained everything that had happened. Ko told him that they needed to go to Nightfall City, the most technologically advanced place in the entire empire. She said they could also use it as a future base and take full advantage of it. The problem was that it was very far away. They had a long journey ahead. They decided to name their journey the 1,000-mile quest. After that, Ko asked him what their first step would be. Konai told her, "I'm planning to turn this base into a hospital." She was delighted by his idea and immediately agreed. After all, she was a doctor. But Konai knew he had to be extremely cautious with her. She was smarter than him. In fact, she was the most intelligent person in the entire game. She was also unpredictable and violent. He would never be able to fully trust her. Still, he needed her. So, for now, he had to treat her well. Later, he brought Ako and Luna outside, where they saw a beautiful woman standing in front of them. They asked Konai, "Who is she?" He replied, "This is my new assistant." Then, he asked Ko to check on Ako's injured leg and heal it. Ko walked up to Ako and gently told her to stay calm. But Ako couldn't relax. She was terrified when she saw Ko's fingers transforming into strange-looking medical tools. However, the moment Ko touched her leg, it instantly healed. Ako tested her leg, realizing that she could walk and run again. Overjoyed, she ran around in excitement. Konai was happy for her and took her for a short walk before they returned. Afterward, he thanked Ko for her help. Ko felt an unfamiliar yet pleasant sensation. It was the first time her boss had ever praised her. At that moment, Mikan and Yuki arrived at their usual hangout spot and told the owner about the king of beasts they had encountered. Yuki was completely fascinated by him, having forgotten that he was supposed to be a villain. Meanwhile, Mikan couldn't stand him at all. She scolded Yuki, asking how she could speak so highly of the king of beasts. She was also furious about how effortlessly he had wiped out over 1,000 sand wolves, as if they were mere ants. She kept questioning how he could have possibly done that alone while the two of them had spent the entire time running away. Meanwhile, the group of villains that had attacked the city regrouped. Their leader, Utopia, was berating the commander responsible for the failed attack. He harshly told him, "You're weak at following orders." The commander defended himself, explaining, "It was beyond my control. A strange man appeared out of nowhere and wiped out our forces completely." Utopia responded coldly, "At this rate, darkness will require even greater sacrifices. That's why we will destroy the capital." At that moment, Konai, Ako, Ko, and Luna arrived at a village. Konai looked around and found that the land was nothing but barren desert. He was confused and asked, "Why does this land look like this?" Luna glanced at the ground and replied, "This is my land." Konai was even more confused. "Then why did you leave it like this?" Luna casually shrugged. "Managing land isn't my responsibility. It belongs to someone else. So I never really cared about its condition." Konai muttered under his breath, "She's good at magic but absolutely terrible at management. At this rate, the people will rebel against her, and she'll end up in prison." He then turned to Ko and said, "Luna's kingdom is taking advantage of her. They gave her ruined lands to rule while keeping all the wealthy territories for themselves. But to him, this was perfect. If he took control of this land, no one would notice. Nobody even seemed to remember that it belonged to them." He walked over to Luna and told her, "I'd like to borrow a part of this village. I want to build a hospital here." Ako got excited. "That means Ko will be able to heal anyone in need for free." Konai nodded. "Exactly." They began scouting the area, trying to decide where to build the hospital. Ko pointed to a location, but Konai shook his head. "That spot is too small. I want to build a swimming pool next to the hospital." Everyone loved the idea and got excited. But Konai wasn't doing this out of kindness. He planned to charge the villagers extra fees and even sell them soap to make a fortune. Of course, he pretended everything would be free. At that moment, a villager approached them. He greeted Luna warmly, saying he was honored to meet the princess today. However, the moment he turned his head and saw Konai, he let out a terrified scream. The village was covered with wanted posters featuring the King of Beasts. Luna reassured him, "The King of Beasts is with me, so there's no need to be afraid." Konai then told the man, "Luna personally appointed me to help manage this land alongside her." He instructed him to deliver this message to the kingdom immediately. The villager hesitated, nervously replying, "I need to get approval from the officials before allowing you to take charge." Konai's gaze darkened. "This land belongs to Luna. She can govern it however she wants." The man flinched under his intense stare. He immediately retracted his words and rushed away. Luna smirked. "You're good at persuasion." Konai told her, "I'm actually going to help you improve this village and make it better than before." Luna, always thinking about herself, asked, "Does that mean you'll increase my allowance once the village prospers?" Konai nodded. "Of course." Meanwhile, two girls named Queen and Momo were tending to the village farm. They looked at the carrots they had planted but found that they were rotting due to the poor soil. Queen said. They discussed their problem. "We need to buy magic crystals to get better water and soil." Momo sighed. "But magic crystals are way too expensive right now. We can't afford them." Despite this, the villagers relied on them. They were the only ones in the village who knew how to farm. If they didn't find something to sell soon, they wouldn't be able to buy what they needed. As Konai observed the village, he noticed something strange. The villagers all had long ears like rabbits. Luna explained, "They're actually from a rabbit lineage. The king adored them, which is why he brought them here." Konai scoffed. "More like he isolated them here. That's not love at all." Luna sighed. "It's the kingdom's fault. They don't like any race other than humans." Konai approached the villagers and asked about their situation. They explained that their biggest problem was a lack of water, which was killing their soil. He asked where the village's well was. Momo guided him to the location. Ko inspected the well and confirmed that it had completely dried up. She climbed back out and told Konai, "Even if we dig deeper, it won't make a difference. Konai stood still, deep in thought. Ko and Luna watched him excitedly, eager to see what kind of crazy idea he would come up with this time. After calculating his options, Konai searched through the game's inventory. He found a low-cost spinning wheel. It didn't cost many points, so using it wouldn't interfere with his plan to build the hospital and swimming pool. He reached into his storage portal and pulled it out. Everyone was stunned. They asked how he did that, and more importantly, what was the point of a spinning wheel if there was no water? Ako, however, immediately told them, just trust Konai. He definitely has a plan. Konai then told her, install the spinning wheel in the well. It will bring up water. The villagers laughed at him. How are we supposed to get water from a dry well? Konai smirked. This spinning wheel can draw water no matter what the condition of the well is. Ako followed his instructions. The moment the wheel was activated, water gushed out of the well. The villagers were overjoyed. They hadn't seen this much water in years. Konai told them, take care of this wheel, and don't tell anyone about it. If people find out, it could get stolen. Then, he reached into his storage portal again and pulled out a fertilizer pack, restoring the soil's health. The villagers cheered and danced in celebration. They were thrilled that they could finally eat proper carrots again. But Konai wasn't doing this for them. His thoughts were elsewhere. No one will visit a ruined village, let alone invest in it. If I want this land to be valuable, I need to restore it first. Luna walked up to him and said, you know, maybe you're not as evil as I thought. Konai scoffed. You're so naive. I never do anything without a reason. Once this village is rebuilt, the rabbits will work in my hospital. Luna shrugged. As long as you help them and increase my allowance, do whatever you want. Konai told her that his next stop was the capital. She smirked. Bring me back lots of clothes and gifts when you return. Konai rolled his eyes. You're such a child, not a princess. Meanwhile, in the kingdom, Luna's eldest sister was holding a meeting with the royal leaders. She had just received news that Luna had brought someone to help her manage the village. Some officials weren't bothered by it, while others were deeply concerned. The eldest princess didn't mind Luna taking charge, but she was worried about the strange man helping her. She had heard unsettling rumors about him. At that moment, Killer Queen entered the room. Her sister immediately checked on her and asked about Luna. Killer Queen smirked. I really like the dragon man I met. He wiped out an entire squad of villains. Her sister stared at her in shock. Killer Queen had completely changed. The wild, reckless personality she was known for was gone. For the first time, the eldest princess looked at her sister with pure disbelief. Two girls were sitting and talking. One of them told a girl named Orjin that she had heard rumors about the dragon warrior appearing in Yahoo City. Orjin dismissed it, saying, that sounds like just another rumor. If he really appeared, the people wouldn't leave him alone, they'd be celebrating by now. Mink sighed. I really want to meet him. I hope he actually exists. The restaurant owner overheard their conversation and approached them, saying, the dragon warrior is great, but the king of beasts is even better. You'd never be bored with him around. They looked at his picture and felt that he was an incredibly strong man. Mink excitedly told Orjin, I want to find him. Orjin replied, we'll talk about this later, and pulled Mink away. In the same restaurant, Mikan and Yuki were also present. They overheard Orjin and Mink talking and became extremely annoyed. Mikan told Yuki, dealing with the king of beasts will be really difficult for us, but it'll be easier for Orjin and Mink. Yuki frowned. We have to stop them from finding him. Meanwhile, Konai, Ako, Ko, and Luna were in an extravagant restaurant, celebrating. Luna had brought them there since it was her favorite place to visit. The restaurant owner warmly greeted Luna, and she told him, today is special because I'm here with my friends to celebrate Ako's recovery. They sat down to eat, and Konai turned to Ako, telling her, enjoy yourself. Eat as much as you want, it's your day. Ako was overjoyed. They all enjoyed the meal, completely immersed in the lively atmosphere. Afterward, Konai stepped outside and thought to himself, I should have chosen a more casual place where we could celebrate freely. He then called over a waiter and handed him something. Deliver this to our table in a little while. Konai reached into his portal and pulled out an item, handing it to the waiter. A short time later, the waiter returned with a strawberry cake that looked absolutely delicious. Ako and Luna stared at it in amazement. It was the first time they had ever seen something like it. They were thrilled to try it. Konai told Ko to cut the cake and distribute it. They all took a bite, immediately falling in love with the taste. They thanked Konai for the wonderful surprise. As they enjoyed their meal, an unfamiliar woman suddenly approached their table. She was clearly wealthy. Her entire body glittered from all the jewelry she was wearing. She smiled and said, I'm glad you're all here. Konai stood up and introduced himself. The woman proudly said, my name is Fried Shrimp. The moment Konai heard her name, he nearly burst out laughing. But he held it in to maintain his composure. Instead, he secretly sent a message to Luna, asking, "Who is this woman?" Luna explained, "She's famous for her connections with the wives of wealthy men. She's incredibly important to them and has a lot of influence. We cannot afford to make her an enemy. It wouldn't be in our best interest." Konai smirked. "I won't do that. In fact, I plan to get on her good side. She could be very useful later on." He continued the conversation with the wealthy woman, explaining that they were here to celebrate Ako's recovery. He even encouraged her to say a few words to Ako. She congratulated Ako and asked for her opinion on the city. Ako cheerfully replied, "Everything in the city is amazing. I'm having a great time." Konai added, "The capital is far better compared to the lands I passed through on my way here." The woman nodded. "This kingdom doesn't have a middle ground. It's either luxurious or horrible. It's like heaven and hell." Konai smirked. "I actually have a plan to change that." She was intrigued. "Oh, what kind of plan?" Konai told her, "I want to restore all the ruined lands in the kingdom. If I take control, I can completely transform this place in just 2 years. Then, he grinned. "And I have a gift for you that'll leave you speechless." Excited, she asked, "What is it?" Konai reached into his portal and pulled out a bar of soap, placing it in front of her. She stared at it in confusion. "Soap?" Luna quickly stepped in. "This isn't ordinary soap. It will remove all dirt and leave your skin glowing like pearls." The woman glanced at the girls' faces and noticed how flawless and radiant their skin looked. She assumed it was from the soap and immediately became excited. She thanked Konai and took it eagerly. Konai then told her about his village. "I'm building a swimming pool and sauna there. Once it's finished, I want you to visit. There'll be plenty of soap, and if you enter the sauna, you'll leave as a completely new person." She was thrilled. "Make sure to take me there as soon as it's done." Then, she turned to Luna. "Keep this a secret from your sister." Luna smirked. "I don't like my sister much anyway, so I won't tell her anything." Suddenly, the ground shook violently. The restaurant owner ran in, panic-stricken. "A group of villains is attacking the city." Everyone in the restaurant was terrified, except for Konai, who was about to enjoy himself even more. He stepped outside and looked over the city to assess the situation. Then, he returned and told Ko, "Stay here and take care of them. I'm going to deal with the enemies." Luna immediately insisted, "I want to go with you." Konai shook his head. "Stay put. I can't protect you if they attack you." Ako worriedly said, "Be careful." Konai smirked. "Relax. I'm just burning a few calories." Then, he told everyone to stay inside the restaurant and not to be afraid. He would handle the enemies alone. He left and headed toward the center of the city. At that moment, Yuki and Mikan were already there, completely dominating the fight. They were eliminating the villains one after another. The enemy commander gave the order to take them down. "They're strong, but they'll wear out soon. Once they're exhausted, finish them." But before that could happen, Konai arrived. Yuki and Mikan were overjoyed to see him. Konai quickly disposed of the villains. But as the battle ended, Yuki and Mikan froze in shock. The king of beasts was standing in front of them, and he had just defeated the enemies himself. He continued wiping them out until all of them were on the ground. However, the enemy commander smirked and said, "I won't die that easily." He scratched his hand, causing a curse to activate over the city. Suddenly, a red symbol appeared on his skin, releasing a thick crimson smoke. A massive creature formed before them. It was the carnival monster, a mid-level beast. It created a magical barrier around the city, trapping everyone inside. Everyone, including Yuki and Mikan, was terrified. The only way out was to defeat the monster. But before anyone could react, Konai casually threw a rock at the creature. The monster turned, growling. "Who did that?" Without hesitation, Konai obliterated the creature with a single strike. Everyone stood in stunned silence. The citizens, who had once feared Konai, now respected him. They all gathered around, thanking him for saving the city. The leader, Utopia, sat in frustration over what had happened. He took out all his anger on a girl named Tron, yelling at her, "How did this happen? The second mission failed too, and you used the carnival monster too early." He ordered her to deliver a specific message to the council before throwing her out. Meanwhile, in the capital, the situation calmed down. The restaurant where Konai, Ako, Luna, and Ko had been sitting brought in a clown to entertain the guests and help them forget what had happened. However, they failed to properly check the clown's background. He was actually a spy working for the villains. His eyes locked onto Luna's table. He quietly observed each of them, memorizing their faces. But his true target was Luna. He had been assigned to eliminate her. Luna, meanwhile, asked Ako, "Where is Konai? He's taking too long." Ako reassured her. Konai promised he'd be back soon. He never breaks his promises, so he'll be here any minute. The wealthy woman added, "Be patient. He'll arrive soon." At that moment, the clown approached them. He seemed like a friendly and cheerful entertainer, and they asked him to perform a magic trick. But the moment he started his act, he suddenly realized his hands were gone. Confused, he frantically searched for them, only to find them in Ko's possession. He panicked. Ko smirked, clearly enjoying his fear. She played around with his hands, swapping their positions before finally returning them to his body. The clown was terrified. Ko leaned in closer and whispered, "Next time, be smarter. The smell of poison from your veil reached me a long time ago. If you want to target someone, stay away from us. Because next time, I won't return your hands." The clown's entire body shook. He let out a horrified scream and ran for his life. Meanwhile, Killer Queen was with Fuji, her right-hand man, in another city. They were battling a group of living skeletons and humanoid monsters. Fighting alongside them was Marshall, the commander of the royal army. Nearby, Origin and Mink were also fighting off a different group of villains, protecting the townspeople and lifting a curse that had afflicted the village. The villagers thanked them, and Origin was thrilled by all the praise she received. As for the group of villains who had survived Konai's attack, they retreated and regrouped. Furious over their defeat, they cut themselves, using their blood to summon monsters. A thick red smoke swirled around them, merging together. This time, however, it didn't create a beast. It formed into a person. He was the Prince of Darkness, Oruet. Unlike the previous creatures, he had the appearance of an ordinary man, but he was far more powerful. Luna's eldest sister saw Oruet. She immediately cast a magical barrier around the kingdom, wiping out the weaker monsters. Down below, Killer Queen and Fuji witnessed Oruet's arrival. Fuji attempted to attack Oruet but couldn't land a single hit. He was far too strong. From above, he saw people as insignificant as ants. Then, with a mere gesture, he shattered the barrier Luna's sister had created. Killer Queen pulled out her Sigma hammer and charged straight at Oruet. They stood face to face. She managed to knock him to the ground, but he immediately got back up and launched a magic spell at her. Killer Queen swiftly created a magical wall around herself, blocking the attack. At that moment, Origin stepped in to assist, attacking Oruet. But he effortlessly dodged and knocked her away. Killer Queen deflected another attack before lunging at Oruet again. However, Tron arrived, carrying a mysterious box. She opened it. A black liquid spilled out, covering the entire area. It immobilized Killer Queen and Origin. Oruet took advantage of the situation. He unleashed a powerful spell, forcing them to crash into the magical barrier before collapsing to the ground. He then delivered a brutal strike to Origin, leaving both of them unable to move. Luna's eldest sister watched from above, deeply worried for her younger sister. Killer Queen shouted, "Stay out of this. Reinforce the barrier and keep it up." Meanwhile, Oruet stepped on Killer Queen, mocking her. But he wasn't the only one watching. Konai had been observing everything from the start. He was frustrated. He had been on his way to search for Seraph, but now, Oruet had appeared, delaying his mission. Still, he couldn't ignore the situation. He had to step in. He quickly searched through the system for something that could help. There was only one option. He could change his character again. He was furious about it, but there was no other choice. Once again, he transformed into the legendary Dragon Man, the same form that Killer Queen adored. Konai stepped forward, standing between Oruet and Killer Queen. He glared at Oruet. "Back off." Oruet laughed, mocking his appearance. But before he could finish his insult, Dragon Man struck him with such force that Oruet reconsidered everything. For the first time, he realized that his opponent was not someone to take lightly. Killer Queen was ecstatic. She was seeing Dragon Man in front of her again, and he was destroying Oruet. Oruet struggled to keep up, his energy was draining rapidly. Desperate, Oruet searched for a solution. Then, he spotted Tron. He lunged at her, grabbing her by the throat. Then, he drank her blood to restore his strength. However, he quickly spat it out. "Your blood is filthy, not pure enough." Disgusted, he threw her to the ground. She landed hard, bleeding heavily. As she lay there, she recalled her childhood, how she had once been a homeless orphan, alone on the streets. Until Utopia took her in and made her part of the villainous group. A short while later, Tron awoke. Dragon Man was kneeling beside her. "I healed you," he said. "You'll be fine in a little while." Then, he gently reassured her. "Don't worry, I'll protect you. You're not alone." Oruet grew furious. He couldn't stand how gentle Dragon Man was acting. Enraged, he transformed into a massive monster. Tron trembled. Dragon Man placed a hand on her shoulder, calming her. "Stand back. I'll finish this." The monster roared. "This will be your last day alive." He turned to the others. "Say your final goodbyes to him." But before anyone could react, Dragon Man struck the creature. The monster tried to block the attack, but it was far too powerful. It was wounded, unable to hold out any longer. Then, it exploded and died. The darkness vanished. Light returned to the city. Everyone stood in awe of Dragon Man. Even Luna's eldest sister. Even Tron. And, of course, Killer Queen. Everyone gathered around Dragon Man, cheering his name in excitement. They were overjoyed and endlessly thanked him for saving the city and freeing them from evil. Even Tron ran up to him and hugged him. Konai reassured her, but when he said her name, he got it wrong. He called her Ront instead of Tron. She laughed. "It's Tron, not Ront." Then, all the people swarmed Dragon Man, hugging him so much that they nearly suffocated him. The next day, Konai returned to his real form and went to meet Luna's eldest sister. She welcomed him and immediately asked, "Are you really the king of beasts? The one that everyone is talking about in legends?" Konai confidently replied, "Yes, I am the king of beasts." She then asked about his connection with Luna and how they met. Konai sighed. "That was a disastrous moment for me. Even she thought I was a terrible person at first. But over time, they had built a unique relationship and set their differences aside." Luna's sister thought to herself, "That's impossible. Luna is far too selfish to ever form a real bond with anyone." Then, she directly asked Konai, "What kind of spell did you cast on my sister to control her like this?" Konai smirked. "Where I come from, seeing is believing. You'll never understand the truth unless you see the results for yourself." What he really meant was that she should wait until his work was finished. Then, she would witness the outcome of his actions. But she didn't trust him. She felt certain that he was plotting something dangerous to conquer her kingdom. Then, Konai changed the subject. "I've been researching Seraph. Is there a library nearby where I can gather more information?" She was shocked. She thought to herself, why does he want to know about Seraph? Is he trying to find information to kill her? She also found it bold that he asked her so directly. Still, she told him, "The library is open to the public. You can use it as much as you want." She wanted to ask him about Seraph but held back. Konai simply thanked her for the meeting. As she saw him off, she told him, "I'm sure we'll meet again soon." Then, she asked, "Were you the one who defeated the evil king?" Konai didn't answer. He just walked away. She sat back in her chair, feeling a strange sense of unease. Meanwhile, outside, Konai let out a deep breath. He had been barely holding it together in front of such an important figure. He quickly opened the system and reviewed his points. To his delight, he realized that he had earned a massive amount of points. With them, he could summon another assistant, build his hospital, and construct his resort. Everything was going perfectly. Not only that, but he had unlocked a new feature. He could instantly teleport to any location he had visited before. He started laughing in pure excitement. Iko heard his laughter and thought, that terrifying, evil laugh. It could only belong to the king of beasts. She rushed out of her room. Sure enough, Konai was standing right in front of her. She ran up to him. Konai picked her up like a father carrying his daughter. Then, he took her to the library. The two of them spent some time reading, searching for any information related to Seraph. But the books only contained a few pictures. Nothing truly useful. Frustrated, Konai was about to leave. But then, Ako asked him to read her a story before they left. She had picked out a book. Konai sighed but took it from her and began reading. The story was about a dog named Fido, who was hated by his entire village and banished from his home. He set off on a journey to find the female dog he loved, who had been locked away in a palace prison. After many struggles, he finally found her. People then praised him, calling him the brave dog. By the end of the story, he had become famous and loved by everyone. When the story ended, Konai frowned. What kind of weird story is this? Who was it even made for? Ako, however, loved the story. At that moment, Konai realized who these strange stories were actually meant for. Then, he asked the librarian about something he had read earlier. Are magical shields really found inside prison cells? The librarian nodded. Yes. Every now and then, prisoners leave behind magical shields and artifacts in their cells. Hearing this, Konai took Ako and left the library. He told her to go home by herself. He would catch up later. As he wandered alone, Tron suddenly appeared and grabbed him. She desperately asked, "Where is Dragon Man? I want to see him." Konai replied, "I don't know who you're talking about." She stared at him. "You and Dragon Man have the same color." Konai blinked. "What color?" She explained, I can see the colors of people's souls. Then, she begged him, bring me Dragon Man. He was the first person to save me and care about me. Konai felt sympathy for her. He told her, if you listen to me, I'll bring you Dragon Man. Tron's face lit up. Really? I'll eliminate anyone you want. Konai snapped. Why does everyone think I'm some evil killer? Tron looked confused. Then what do you want? Konai sighed. Soon, I'll need workers and helpers for my village. With your talents, you could be very useful. If you follow my orders, I'll let you meet Dragon Man. Tron immediately agreed. She followed him. When they arrived, they met up with Ako, Luna, and Ko. The moment Luna saw Tron, she was suspicious. Who is this? She asked Konai. She has a creature inside of her. Konai was surprised to hear this. There's a monster inside her, but he didn't care. He told Luna, if you can change the village, your sisters will treat you better and respect you. But to do that, you need to learn how to deal with different kinds of people. You need to stop seeing everything in black and white and open your eyes more. Luna nodded. Fine. I'll accept her, but only if she doesn't do anything evil. Konai agreed. Then, he told everyone to grab onto him. They were about to fly. In 1 second, they arrived back at the village. Momo and the others welcomed Konai. Konai immediately went to build their base. He found the best location and used his points to construct the hospital he had wanted. It was fully equipped with advanced facilities, even though there was no electricity in the village. Then, he and Ko went inside, discussing how to attract people and make the hospital well known. Konai declared, we'll help the poor first. Once the hospital becomes famous, we'll make rich people pay. After that, Konai went outside. Right next to the hospital, he built his luxury resort. It was extravagant, filled with every type of bath imaginable. There was a sauna, a swimming pool, a steam bath. The second floor had a resort hotel, where guests could stay overnight. There was even a massive dining hall. It was a complete luxury retreat. Later, Konai approached Momo. Gather the villagers tonight, he said. I have something to tell them. Then, he left. As he sat alone, he thought to himself, I need someone to protect the village when I'm gone, someone I can rely on. He reviewed his 8 assistants. After careful thought, he realized that Tahora was the best choice. With his combat skills and strength, he would be the perfect protector. He also had a good personality that would get along with Ko. Without hesitation, Konai summoned him. Tahora woke up, and his first reaction was one of pure shock as he took in the luxurious resort and the entire area around him. He immediately turned to Konai. Where are we? What is this place? Konai smirked. Come with me. We need to talk. They walked inside the resort and sat down for a conversation. Tahora kept looking around in amazement. This place, it feels like I'm inside a game or an anime I used to watch when I was a kid. Konai chuckled to himself. He's definitely analyzing everything right now. His brain is still working. He decided not to explain too much. Oh, by the way, Konai added. Ko is here with us too. Tahora froze. His face went pale. That crazy woman is here? Memories of Ko's insane experiments and unpredictable nature came rushing back to him. He recalled all the terrifying things she had done in the past. Konai smirked. I figured you two would get along well. Tahora grimaced. Then, he asked, so what's your plan now? Konai answered, right now, my only focus is this village. Tahora nodded. I'll do whatever you need. If it weren't for you, my little sister Manami and I would still be homeless on the streets, or dead. Konai reassured him. Right now, we have 3 main areas, the hospital, the resort, and the village itself. We need to secure the village, train the people, and attract visitors. We also need to educate the children, support the poor, and, most importantly, make money off the rich. Tahora blinked. Okay, slow down. I'm not a machine. Konai chuckled and placed a hand on his shoulder. Immediately, Tahora felt a sharp pain, as if a shock had gone through his body. Konai frowned. You should get checked by Ko, just in case. Right on cue, Ko suddenly appeared. Did someone mention me? She asked with a mischievous grin. Tahora's fear was instantly visible. His entire body tensed as he flinched at the sight of her. Luna, Ako, and Tron rushed over after hearing the commotion. When they saw Tahora, they immediately asked, who is he? Is he one of Konai's new assistants? They were all impressed by him. Even Tron stared at him in admiration. His color is beautiful. I'm sure he'll be nice to us. Konai left them to get to know each other while he went off to think. Just a few more things, he thought. Then the village will be ready for visitors. Next day, Konai visited the shop where he had previously sold his teacup for an insanely high price. This time, he brought a music box. He opened it in front of the shop owner. The shopkeeper was immediately captivated by its beauty. Konai then weaved an elaborate story about the music box, how in his homeland, items like this were deeply valued. He explained all of its unique features. The shopkeeper hesitated, deep in thought. If I offer too low a price, Konai might be offended and refuse to sell it. Konai smirked. I'll let you name the price. The shopkeeper panicked. Is this a test? Is this expensive in your homeland? He asked. Konai nodded. People there highly value artistic and musical items. The shopkeeper fell into deep thought. Finally, he declared, I'll give you 15 gold coins for it. Konai immediately agreed. That amount was huge, and the music box wasn't even worth 1 gold coin. After sealing the deal, Konai visited the clothing shop where he had taken AKO before. He approached the owner and pointed at a suit and a dress. I need 20 of these, he said. I want them finished as soon as possible and delivered to my village. He then placed 4 gold coins on the counter. The shopkeepers burst into tears of joy. Konai added, that's just the first payment. Once you finish, I'll give you 2 more. Then, he went to the grocery store. He ordered a massive supply of meat and dairy products, arranging for delivery to the village. By the end of it all, he only had 3 gold coins left. Now, he needed to figure out what else to spend them on. For now, he returned to the village. That night, Konai sat in his room. He transformed into Dragon Man. There was something about this form that felt right. It gave him a strange thrill, an urge to crush the strong and protect the weak. But after a while, he returned to his normal self and went to sleep. The next morning, the villagers were harvesting their carrots. For the first time in a long while, they had healthy, edible crops. They celebrated. Then, they explored Konai's resort. They loved it. They tried the soap, enjoying the luxurious bath experience. They put on the new clothes Konai had provided. Meanwhile, Tahora trained the village children, teaching them how to clean and maintain the resort. Once everything was ready, Konai and Tahora waited. And then, their first official guest arrived. It was the wealthy woman they had met in the restaurant. She stepped out of her vehicle and was immediately blown away by what she saw. This place is incredible, she exclaimed. Konai, you kept your word. Then, she smiled. By the way, I loved the soap you gave me. As she spoke, an old man stepped out of the carriage behind her. His name was Commandro. He glanced around and asked the woman, so this is the village you were talking about? She nodded. Yes, this is the village. Konai raised an eyebrow. And who is this? She explained, this is Commandro. He's an old man nearing the end of his life. I brought him here so he could enjoy his final days before he passes. Commandro chuckled. I used to be famous, you know. But ever since that monster took my eyes, I've been stuck at home, unable to work. Konai smirked. We happen to have an excellent doctor here. Maybe she can heal your eyes. Commandro perked up. Really? Take me to her right away. Tahora escorted him to Ko. Meanwhile, Konai sent Ko a message. Get ready, we've got an important guest coming. When they arrived at the hospital, Ko welcomed them. The wealthy woman was amazed by the facility. This doesn't even feel like the same world. Ko examined Commandro. Then, she pulled out a special liquid. She carefully applied it to his eyes. Close them, she instructed. Now, open them slowly. Commandro did as she said. And then, he could see again. Tears filled his eyes. He jumped in excitement. The wealthy woman was so impressed that she handed Ko a lambda coin, a currency worth 100 gold coins. Ko simply smiled. Now this is real payment. Then we go back 10 years and see Luna as an 8-year-old child, running through the capital with a small boy. They have an old copper coin and want to buy some food. They stop in front of a grand palace, and Luna tells the boy that one day, she will sit in a place like this and live there. The boy tells her that it's impossible, but Luna replies that he never even tried to set a goal, which is why it seems impossible to him. She, however, will do whatever it takes to achieve what she wants. At that moment, 3 people come out of the palace and insult Luna and the boy. Luna gets angry and casts a spell, releasing magic from her hands. The 3 get scared and rush back into the palace. The boy quickly takes Luna away from the place before anyone can do anything to them. 2 years after that incident, Luna finally achieves her goal and becomes part of the kingdom due to her magical abilities. The kingdom honors her and declares her one of them. Luna then tells them that she has an assistant whom she wants by her side. However, they inform her that the little boy who was with her is no longer in this world because he was executed after they discovered he belonged to the demo lineage and had infiltrated the capital. She protests, saying that he had done nothing wrong and had harmed no one. But they tell her that simply being from that lineage is wrong in itself and that he cannot be allowed to exist in this world. They tell her that if she wants to be a princess, as she had wished, she must be very careful about those around her, knowing who to bring close and who to keep away. After this event, Luna worked on herself and became a princess known by everyone in the kingdom. Then, Luna wakes up to a voice she can't recognize. She looks around and realizes that the voice is inside her head. She understands that the King of Beasts is speaking to her and asks him what he wants at a time like this. He tells her that he is coming with the rich lady and asks her to prepare since they are almost there. Luna tells him that she is always ready. As soon as they arrive, she quickly goes out to welcome the rich lady, inviting her to come along. They enter the main bath, and the rich lady is amazed by its size. She sits down as the girls come to assist her. She enjoys the place so much that she feels relaxed, as if she is in another world, just as Konai had told her. She wishes she could stay there forever. The girls use some new products that Konai had recently brought, which are entirely new to their world. She likes them, and Luna encourages her even more, telling her that this is just the beginning and she hasn't seen anything yet. Then, she takes her to a bath filled with carbon dioxide water, which is very beneficial for the skin. After they finish, she leads her to the herbal bath, which smells so fresh and pleasant that it feels like a forest. Then, they go to the salt sauna, where Luna tells her to rub the salt well on her skin, as it will remove dead skin and make her feel young again, restoring her smooth skin. After they finish, they rinse off the salt. The lady, in her excitement, scrubs so hard that she ends up hurting herself. Then, we see the Great Princess and Killer Queen in their palace. The Great Princess receives a message that the rich lady has gone to Konai's resort. The princess gets upset and tells Killer Queen that Konai has taken their sister and now has brought the rich lady to his side. She is very frustrated with his accomplishments and tells her sister that they must take action. Killer Queen tells her sister to leave Luna alone and let her do whatever she wants because Luna is now attached to Konai. She tells her sister that she would never understand because she has never loved or been attached to anyone before. Then, we go back to the library, where we see Ko approaching Tahora, who is sitting alone with a village map in front of him. She asks him what he is doing and sees him planning and drawing things on the map. She asks him if he wants to change the locations of the villagers' houses. He tells her yes and reassures her that the King of Beasts himself gave him permission to do whatever he wants. Tahora then tells her that he feels she has changed recently and has become much kinder than before. He even notices that she is now fine with having some children and rabbits around her. She tells him that things have changed for a while now because she no longer interacts with anyone except Konai and the girls, and she lives in the village, so she has to adapt. It becomes clear that Tahora has feelings for Ko but doesn't want to show it. Then, Ko looks back at the map and tells Tahora that he seems to have a lot of plans and wants to change many things in the village. He tells her that he wants to divide the village into sections, the medical section, the rabbit section, and a few other divisions. She tells him that such a project will cost a lot of money. Tahora tells her that they can use her gold coins for all of this and that they have been very useful to them recently. She then suggests that if they are going to change all of that and spend so much money, why not take the opinion of the rich lady? Without hesitation, Tahora refuses and tells her that he will not let some rich people dictate to them from the start what to do in their village, as that would be a dangerous step and would allow them to interfere in their affairs later on. He tells Ko that what she just said was really foolish and should never have come from her. He then asks her if she has forgotten what happened in Nilt City. Ko admits that he is right and that she didn't consider what had actually happened. She then leaves him to continue his work and goes to focus on her own. At night, they all gather, have dinner together, and enjoy a wonderful time as if they were a family. At bedtime, they all go to sleep in Konai's room because they all feel like he has become their father figure. The next day, Konai wakes up and leaves a message for Ako and Luna, telling them that he is heading to the capital and will be back by night. He warns them not to look for him if he is late, especially Luna, because the moment she arrives, she will bring trouble with her. Then, he gets dressed, leaves the resort, and reaches the capital. He doesn't have many errands to run. He just wants to ask about something and take a break by himself for a while since he is exhausted from all the work and responsibilities on his shoulders. While Konai is in the capital, we see Yuki and Mikan talking by chance about the King of Beasts. Yuki seems very impressed by him. As she talks to Mikan about him, they suddenly spot him in front of them. Yuki runs toward him, calling his name until he stops. However, Konai stands there, feeling like he has seen them before but can't recall their names. He wishes people walked around with name tags to make things easier for him. That gives him an idea, and he tells himself that as soon as he returns, he will distribute name tags to everyone in the village to make things a bit simpler. Yuki asks him how he is and what he is up to now. Konai tells her that he is working in his village, building his resort. She looks at Mikan and says that the rumors turned out to be true. They ask him what he is doing in the capital. He tells them that he has some things to do and wants to visit the Adventurers Guild to ask about 2 things. Yuki asks him what exactly he wants from the guild. He tells her that he wants to inquire about the dungeons in the north and about tools that provide protection from magic. Yuki tells him that the guild won't be much help since they know nothing about anything outside the city, but she can help him and get him whatever he needs. Mikan tries to stop her because she doesn't want to do that, and they start arguing in front of the King of Beasts. Konai watches them and feels like they might be useful to him later. After they finish arguing, Yuki says that there's a restaurant nearby and she wants to treat him to a meal to thank him for saving them from the group of villains and the beast that day. She asks Mikan to walk ahead and show them the way. Konai notices that Yuki is interested in him, while Mikan doesn't seem to care at all. He tells himself that they would make a great pair to help with the village work. When they reach the restaurant, Mikan tells the owner to prepare a table quickly. As soon as the restaurant owner sees that Mikan and Yuki have brought the King of Beasts with them, she welcomes him enthusiastically and announces to everyone in the restaurant that the King of Beasts is there. Everyone gets excited and welcomes him warmly. It turns out that the King of Beasts has been famous since the last time he saved them from the monster, and now everyone wants to sit with him and treat him. However, Yuki takes him and sits with him at a table with just the 3 of them. The restaurant owner first brings them drinks and tells Konai to treat the place like home. If he needs anything, he should just ask, and she will bring it right away. Konai thanks her. Yuki then starts teasing him in an overly playful way, which he really doesn't like. He wants to get up and yell at her but can't bring himself to do it. He looks at Mikan, who is staring at him with disgust, and realizes that he would rather sit with Mikan, who clearly dislikes him, than with Yuki. Then, the restaurant owner brings them food. The moment he tastes it, Konai is impressed and tells her that the food is amazing. She tells him that the meal was made especially for him and that he should eat until he is full. After that, Konai gets to the point and asks Mikan about their guild. Mikan explains that they have been working for the Adventurers Guild for a long time. Their job is to hunt monsters and deliver them to the guild. The more monsters they hunt, the more famous they become within the guild, and their treatment improves. Other guilds then start wanting to work with them. This reminds Konai of football because it's just like famous players whom clubs fight over. Konai asks them what kind of things they might find in the northern dungeons. Mikan tells him that they can find all sorts of items, from armor and tools to 5 different categories of gear, some made of leather, some metal, and some that only dwarves can craft, which no human can replicate. There are also rare items used by princesses. This reminds Konai of the weapons that Luna and her sisters have. He understands what Mikan means, aside from the fact that there are many other unknown treasures that adventurers try to discover. Konai tells them that, in that case, he must go north himself to explore and find the mysterious elements there. Yuki says she wants to go with him since she is a second-tier adventurer and would be very helpful on the journey. Konai pauses for a moment to think. He tells himself that Ko and Tahora are too busy in the village, and he can't bring the children with him. Yuki would be useful because she has experience in the field. Meanwhile, Mikan is staring at them with her mouth open in shock. Yuki tells her to close her mouth because she will be coming with them whether she likes it or not. Mikan refuses, saying she won't go anywhere with them. Konai tells her that he is counting on her too and wants her to come along. Yuki tells her that she has no other choice anyway because she won't be left alone. Then, we see the great princess, Luna's sister, in her palace, standing in front of the seraph statue that Konai had been searching for. She asks the statue to grant her more magic and strength so she can go and rescue Luna from the control of the King of Beasts. When she reaches for her weapon, she realizes that Seraph has granted her power. She is instantly transported to the village, where she sees that everyone is working hard with all their might. She walks around the place for a while, and then Tahora stops her, mistaking her for one of the workers. He orders her to quickly go and collect the light crystals. She gets flustered by his tone and obeys without thinking. After a while of working, she suddenly realizes what she is doing and asks herself why she even listened to him in the first place. Just then, Luna comes up behind her and asks what she is doing there. The great princess tells her that there's no time to explain and that they must leave immediately before the King of Beasts arrives and strengthens his hold over her. Luna laughs and tells her that no one is controlling her, and she needs to stay until the village's renovation is complete and all the work is done. Then, Tron arrives and quickly pulls Luna away, saying they have work to do. Luna tells Momo to take her sister to the resort and freshen her up before she gets back. The great princess gets nervous when she sees Tron because she is a beast, and she assumes that Konai is gathering monsters in the resort to build an army. She follows Momo inside to understand what is really happening. However, as soon as she enters, she finds nothing but ordinary baths. It turns out to be just a regular resort, and she is left completely confused about what Konai is actually doing. She waits until Konai returns and asks him to explain exactly what is happening. Konai tells her that he is not a monster as she thinks and that he has been searching for Seraph because Ophan was the one who summoned him into this world before she died. After her death, he kept looking for Seraph just to find answers to the questions in his mind. He assures her that he doesn't want to harm Seraph as she assumed. After that, he takes her back to her kingdom and then returns to the resort. He tells Ako that he will be traveling the next day on a journey to the north and will be back soon. He bids farewell to her and the girls. The next morning, he wakes up and tells Ko and Tahora that the village is in their hands and that they must take good care of it until he returns. He says goodbye to everyone and to the village, then gets into his carriage with Yuki and Mikan and sets off on his journey to the north.